Hey everyone, it's Nixie, and today I want to round out High C's hero list with gameplay into Marlynn. She was hyped to be Lexi 2.0, but I'm not so sure she got there. Even with Death Dealer around, most lists seem to be leaning into the Harpoon mechanic now. But lucky for us, it's pretty easy to block out her overpowered Harpoons. So we have a few gameplay options into her. We could fatigue her by blocking her out and fat decking, or just cut to 60 and race her. I'm currently in the camp of racing, but that doesn't mean I could block out when I need to. So let's see how I navigate this matchup. But before we get into some gameplay videos, I want to say thanks to you for watching, as well as my patrons for continuing to support me. It means a lot, and I want to say thank you every single time. So with that, let's get into the gameplay videos. Alright, here you can see I'm gonna cut to 60 and just race pretty much. In this matchup, I do want to go second because I don't know if they could do a lot on their first turn. And if they overpower something, we could still block it out. Looks like they are just going to play a card to set up for next turn. So we're gonna play out our hand and swing here, threatening go again, and see what they do. Looks like they're blocking for 6. So we're just gonna pump this up with response. Looks like no D reacts. We're gonna go over. Now, I'm not gonna pay into grains. I'm gonna actually pay into Brave Force Bracers because this will force 2 cards or their gold baited hook and a card to block. But looks like they're just gonna let it through. So we're on the board already with 1 counter to begin with, which is pretty good. Alright, so they're gonna reveal 3 of a kind and probably get a big overpowered attack here. Again, overpowered isn't that scary because we could always block out with their reactions, and for Battering Bolt, it's not dominated, so we could block out with their reactions again and nothing really hurts us. So we're just gonna block this out with the 2 reactions. Take 4 damage. It is unfortunate we reveal our hand, but that's okay. Because next turn, all we're gonna do is pitch our Yellow Valor and swing for 4. And since it's a breakpoint, they're gonna still have to give us 2 cards, or they have to be playing that D react. And so far, I haven't really seen Marlynn's be playing a lot of D react, so I'm assuming this is going to get blocked out with 2 cards or with a gold baited hook and a card. And that is what they opt to do. So we got their precious equipment already, so this is pretty good. And we're gonna set up for our next turn with Supremacy and Arsenal. Alright. And what are they gonna do here? They're gonna play another Battering Bolt. And this time we're just gonna block out as much as we can with their reactions. Although it's really strong, I don't want to waste equipment just yet. Because we also have a Frailty token, so our attacks are gonna be kind of debuffed a bit. So it's not really worth keeping our hand. So I'm just going to keep our 1 action card, which is our Glistening and Swing here. And if this hits, then we get to make a Vigor token, so it's not that terrible. An opponent blocks and makes a gold from this, that's fine. And they're gonna come in for Rabble for 3 go again. This is just vanilla damage, so we're just going to take it. And then they're gonna come in for 6 here. So I have some options. I could just crown away our supremacy, but I want to keep it because I do want to be able to threaten supremacy this turn. So I'm gonna use bolters here and bracers to block this out. And on our turn, we're just gonna pressure by playing out our supremacy, valor, and swinging. We don't have a resource left to swing jagged edge, but it could be a response or blade flurry, so they don't know. So they might just overblock here, and that's what they do. So now that's good for us. We have tempo, we could arsenal our reaction, and threatening counters next turn. Alright, this turn, unfortunately, we don't have a blue, so it's a bit awkward. We can't really play out our glistening to be able to have a go again to swing. And our unsheath just kind of buffs everything, but it doesn't have go again as well. And I don't want to break bolters just yet. So it's not that great, but that is an option. The other option we have is just to send Command and Conquer to get some tempo and go from there. And then that is pretty good. But then the question is, what do we pitch? Because do we pitch Take It on the Chin and Unsheath to play Command and Conquer, or a red and maybe a glistening instead and keep a red in hand? Both are not that great, but I think the best option is to send Command and Conquer here to disrupt by pitching glistening and keeping the Unsheath and Take It on the Chin. Because if they have a turn to hit back, I could always play Take It on the Chin to get agility token, and then that could threaten a 6 go again next turn, which is pretty good. And I do have a reaction arsenal, so even if they play Battering Bolt or some kind of card, Harpoon, that reveals my hand, they still have to overblock if they don't have a D-React. So let's go with that. Let's play out the Command and Conquer here. And then they do block with their Battering Bolt, which is fine. Alright, this Harpoon reveals our hand and also discards a red, which is not great, so I am going to want to block this out. So I am going to block with armor here and our D-React and Take on the Chin. I could have blocked with Unsheath as well instead of Grains, but I'd rather threaten a bigger swing because then they had to give me 3 cards to try to block this out instead of just 2. Alright, so they let it through, so I'm just going to not paint the Grains just yet, just so that I have 1 resource left to be able to swing a Jagged if needed. And if they don't block this, I'll then roll that extra resource into a Vigor token. And they're not going to block, so we are going to get that counter and make a Vigor. Alright. Our turn, we got another Unsheath and a Twinning, so this is pretty good for us. No matter what, we're going to be able to swing twice, so I really want to keep Unsheath and Twinning if I have to just keep 2 cards. Oh, I do need a blue, so I'll keep that as well. So Puncture could be used to block with. They're going to send in a big attack for 13 with the Hook activation. Alright, I said I wanted to keep Unsheath and Twinning, but this King Kraken Harpoon will make me discard a non-attack action card, which is not great. So I won't be able to keep Unsheath. If I can't keep Unsheath, then there's no point of keeping Twinning as well. So unfortunately, I am going to block with my Unsheath and Twinning to save health. But keep Puncture because I could use that to keep a counter if needed. Because I don't think they're gonna overblock by 6. And then maybe think about popping bolters as well to threaten another counter. I also had the option of discarding Ripple Away to not let them get gold, but I don't think gold is that scary for me at this point. So I am just going to leave that as is. And I also need the blue pitch to be able to swing with Puncture and Jagged in Arsenal, and then possibly threaten Refraction Bolters. So here they block for 6 over, and I have a Puncture and Jagged. And because they blocked with equipment, that's +4 instead of +3 that I normally get from Puncture. So that's +3, +4, so +7. So I definitely could go over here by 1. And I should play it out, but for some reason I don't. I don't know if I messed up on math when I was counting this, when I played this out. But that's a mistake from me. I definitely should have played it out. Have 1 resource floating, and then probably roll it into grains to get a resource. Or I could have actually popped bolters here and threatened 4 again and get a second counter, which I think I would have done instead. But I totally messed up, and this is my mistake. And I kind of like lose some tempo here. Let's see if this ends up costing me the game. Ooh, next hand isn't that great because I get 2 nips, so no go against sources, and they're gonna come in with the 3 of a kind to have a pretty big churn, so. And look at that, it's gonna be a bluefin harpoon just when I have 3 blues with us. So that's not great. I'm just gonna block it out here. And looking back on this again, I actually should have blocked with 2 nips and a puncture to block it out, and a swing with a blue Ripple Away, so I could threaten a counter. But they're just gonna overblock this for some reason, so that's fine with me. So this Harpoon is overpowered, but it doesn't have any nasty on-hit effects like the other Harpoons will have. And Gold the Tip doesn't really do anything, it just makes a gold for them. And this doesn't reveal my hand, so I'm not too worried about this. I could play Shelter the Storm to block some damage out, but I don't think that's efficient use of it. I'd rather Arsenal it and use it for a Harpoon attack that they might come in with a bigger attack and I need to block it out. So I'd rather put that in Arsenal. So I'm gonna just take all of this damage here. So on our turn, we're just gonna swing here and see if they block. They're not gonna block, so we're gonna play Glint and Blade Flurry here. And we're not going to pay into grains because we want to pay for the resource for Jagged Edge. So we're going to swing again for 5. And now we're going to play Jagged. And that's our turn. We get a counter again and Arsenal, our D-React. We draw into Run Through, which is kind of nice, but at this health, we don't really need it because we still have bolters up. So we could use it to block if we need it here. So this red fin harpoon will have an on hit of revealing our hand, so they won't be too surprised. And also we'll strip 1 red card, which is our response. So I definitely want to block with response here if I'm not going to be able to block everything out. And then if I'm gonna reveal my hand, I do want to block with Run Through because then they'll expect it, so it's kind of be a dead card in hand. So that'll be at least 6 block I could do, and then also D-React and 1 equipment block from Bracers. I could do that as well. But I think I'm not too worried about them hitting and then revealing the leftover cards, which will be Agile, Engagement, and Hit and Run. Because if they overblock this, they're most likely going to block with attack action, and an Agile Engagement, you might not go over, but I will still be able to get the Agility token, which is kind of nice to set up for next turn. And I still have the D-React to prevent any big damage that might come through, so instead of blocking this out completely, I'm just going to let 5 damage go through. Also, the opponent doesn't have an arsenal, so most likely they're going to try to overblock this, especially at this health. So there's no point keeping too many cards in hand and IPing myself. We still have a lot of equipment left. The opponent doesn't have any equipment left other than Tunic. And because we didn't play out the arsenal, the opponent might think it's another attack reaction, so they might be forced to dump their whole hand to reset the counter here. Yep, and they do block with attack action, and they saw my hand, so they're not going to completely overblock, but we do make the agility token, so that's fine with us. Next hand isn't that great with not many blues, and take it on the chin isn't great because we already have agility token. So this might be an option for us to use crown here and be able to cycle out, take it on the chin, and hopefully dig for a blue. But unfortunately, you get a red, so that's not great. But it might be fine, depending on our next turn, where we'll just send in a Command and Conquer, and then we'll just swing and then maybe get a Vigor token for the following turn. And we're going to swing here. The opponent doesn't block this. We could pop bolters, but I don't think that's worth at all because we'll have to pitch a red and they could easily block that out. So I'd rather make a Vigor token to have a stronger next turn. Lucky for us, they decide to overblock this, so their turn is probably nothing's going to happen unless they have a 3 of a kind, which they don't. So now we have a pretty good turn of a Supremacy and a Glint. So we're going to send that and see what they do. Most likely they're going to overblock this. And we'll play Glint to see if we get another reaction, like a Singing, to go over. Ooh, but we luck out. We got a Twinning Blade here. All part of the plan, right? No, not really. But so yeah, we're gonna swing here, and because we have bolters, this is gonna be almost game because of this. We didn't draw a blue, so that's unfortunate. But that's fine. We're just going to then swing for 5. I could have pumped with Bracers to 6 to threaten lethal, and looking back again, I think that's what I should have done. Just threaten lethal, and there's no way they could block it out. So that would have been the play to do, but a miss from me. And here we have Singing and Twinning, so no matter what, they're gonna have to block this next turn. And And this is going to come in for 8. And here we have that D-React, so we could block this out easily by using Brave Force Bracers and the D-React in Arsenal and 1 card from hand. Now with 2 Vigor, this is most likely definitely going to be game, making sure I do have a Glint. I did already block with Run Through, so I don't have that. And then we play Singing, and I look and I don't see my 3rd Glint. I guess I looked through the graveyard too quick and I didn't notice all 3 were taken. So that is not great. I could go Singing, and then that'll bring me up to 6. But then Puncture will still just come up to just 9, so I won't be able to go over. So that is not great at all. So at this point, I totally mess up, and this gets me kind of flustered. Because what I should just do here is grab Provoke, and then pitch a Provoke to get their last card, and then they have to just pass. But instead, I'm just going to not grab anything and then play the Provoke from my hand, which is just silly because that's 1 card less that I have and I don't get to Arsenal anything. Big mess up from me. I think I'm just kind of flustered at this point of how this game is going. But at the same time, this game is pretty much over because they're at 1 life and they have to keep on overblocking. And I know they don't have any D-Reacts from the way they're playing. So totally my bad, but it's fine. Next hand, if I had that Twinning, I had that Glistening, so it would have been pretty good. But I could still use this Go again and send in a Ripple away for 4 after this. And it'll most likely strip their whole hand. If not, they're gonna have to block with Tunic to block out the Ripple away. And they only have 1 card, which they can't do anything with. And they'll just being able to Arsenal it, so it's still fine. But they end up totally overblocking this. Now I'm going to send in the Ripple for 4. And if it's not a 3 block, they kind of lose. But it is a 3 block, so they're still living at 1. You can see here, they're getting kind of fatigued. They only have 12 cards left. I still have 20, so I said I'm playing 60 and very aggressive. But you can see that we can still fatigue them because if they're not running any D-Reacts, they're going to have to start overblocking a lot. We're just going to swing here for 3. And if they don't overblock this for more than 3, they're going to die. But they can't keep on overblocking for like 9 every turn. So they're most likely going to block for 6, and that's what they do. And we have 2 reactions, so we're going to go over and present lethal, and I know they don't have any D-React, so this is going to be game. So that was a game into Marlynn. It's not a total race where I could just keep on sending everything because they do have some disruptive attacks, similar to Guardian, where I do have to block out, but they don't have any D-Reacts, so it's only a matter of time until we get some damage and counters in and they're gonna need to start overblocking a lot. So I think this matchup is pretty favored for us. You do want to preserve your armor when you can. And don't be too greedy because there will be eventually a Harpoon or attack that you really want to block out. And if you don't have the equipment for it, you could lose a lot of tempo. So slowly grind them down, but do take necessary risks in this matchup. And with that, that's all I have for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.